All right, Chris Popper here in Bangor. Matt Haney, the principal of MDI High School down in Bar Harbor. And Matt, congratulations. Made it through 1 week of remote learning, and tell us how the week has gone.
It's been a breath of fresh air to, even though the students aren't actually in the building, to have learning going on around us is pretty amazing. And the teachers have reported a lot of smiling faces, a lot of students, probably more than any other time, happy to be back in school come Labor Day. And people are working hard in their classes. They're doing those community building activities that they typically do in person, that they're doing through a distance learning scenario. And there's lots of new things to do, and sometimes it works better and sometimes it doesn't work as well, and sometimes it's about the same. But the thing that is the same is teachers and educators love being with their students, and we're getting to do that for the first time in a long time. Even back in March and April and May, seeing the students for an hour or so a day just wasn't the same. It's more of a full day type of schedule that they're doing now, and it's great, and the kids seem to really be responding, and it's been exciting.
I know that there was a lot of apprehension as to how this was all going to work, but after a week, I'm seeing comments on Facebook of, yeah, we've got this. And, having that week under everyone's belt has got to make everyone feel much more positive.
Yes, you can only do so much preparation for something you've never done before. And so we spent the whole summer off and on, or more on than off for many of us. And then we had 8 days of professional development time leading up to the start of school last week, or I guess this week still. But you can only really get 80% or so prepared for something. And really, there's a lot of anxiety around the unknown, especially, I don't know if especially, but when you talk about educators as a whole, the reason we went into this profession is that we care about people, we care about students. And when we do our job, it's not just us that we're impacting. It's the lives and the learning of the people we're responsible for. So to go into a situation not really knowing how it's going to go is very unsettling.
Yeah.
And it's always new when you're teaching a new class or start a new year where maybe something is a little different. Lots of things are a lot different this year. And I'm just really proud of the way that our teachers have gone after that with an open mind. And they're doing those community building activities and starting to get into the content, and they're rolling with the challenges that happen. I know one teacher on her first day with a group of freshmen just had an internet crash. She was right here in the building. It didn't make any sense, and she was really worried. But the students stayed with her, and they were there waiting for her when she came back. And the next day they had a great class, and everything was okay, because I think people are doing a really nice job of being ready for the unexpected, being ready for things to not go exactly as planned, and being having an understanding and a forgiving heart about those expectations.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last week. I mean, the key word was flexibility, and
right.
You have to be flexible in times like this. Last night, the school board met to discuss the MPA recommendations regarding extracurricular activities. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yes, it was a really exciting night for us. We've been working and planning and thinking and following as the Maine Principals Association and the Department of Education and Health and Human Services and CDC and superintendents and school boards associations all kind of got on the same page. And that's a lot of people with a lot of different stakeholders to all have a hand in that. And they did a good job of hammering it out, and they worked it through, and they came out yesterday afternoon with their guidelines and their not recommendations really, their parameters for starting up. And thankfully, they almost perfectly aligned with what we had hoped to do. There's nothing that we wanted to do that those guidelines kept us from doing. And so anyway, what we are excited to do is we're going to start I'm going to talk about high school first, and then I'll do a little bit of a side conversation about middle school. High school, we're going to start next week with.
Let me just interrupt you. I mean, I know when we talked with Bunky, so anybody who is planning on participating needs to make sure they've got their physicals in, that they've got their insurance forms in. It's like the normal, the normal of when we go back to normal. Those August dates, you can't participate unless you have those forms in.
Sorry, my phone rang.
Yeah, that's all right. So you got to make sure those forms are in.
Yes, please make sure. And those forms are available on the MDI High School website. If you go into, sorry.
That's all right. You've got a good rung tone, so that's all right.
I know. I learned how to change that on that, so I know that's an internal call. I'll let it finish out here.
Okay. That's all right. Keep talking. That's fine.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, those forms are available on our website. If you go to our website right now, you'll see like the temporary front page. And if you click on go into the original site, and then there's a link for athletics and there's a link for forms in there, and you can fill those out. So yeah, we need that is a bit of normal. We're gonna have to be chasing people to do their paperwork, which while sometimes frustrating, it's a normal thing that we do. So that's good, I guess. So yeah, we're hoping to start high school athletics next week, and the coaches will be in touch with the students right away about timing. We're hoping to have family and parent meetings, but we are looking to have full competition in golf and sailing and cross country. For soccer and volleyball, we're going to start out practicing a volleyball practice. We're going to set up outdoor courts.
Football be on the tennis court, or where do you?
Nope, it's going to be on the grass down on the softball field.
Okay.
And then, so it'll certainly be a different sport than it is inside in a gym. But fundamentally it's the same. So we're going to do skill building, conditioning practices for soccer and volleyball, with the hope that we at some point can get in a few competitions within our county, depending on how that all plays out. But that may not happen, and that's okay, because we just need to get people back together doing the things that they love, and competition is great, and it's just a part of it. And then along those lines, football is going to do something similar. They're going to work on skills. They're going to work on conditioning. We're going to work on being together, but there's not going to be a tackle football season this year.
No, are they looking at flag football, or is that still to be determined?
There is a condition in the guidelines that came out that say you can play regional competitions in 7-on-7 flag football, which is no contact. It's passing only. It's
right.
It's a completely different sport, and it's still a lot of fun to play. And there's a possibility. And again, Ellsworth is the only other team in the area who has football. Well, Bucksport also, I suppose.
Right.
You got to think differently. Usually we don't play Bucksport in football or Ellsworth, but
well, you would have this year in Ellsworth, because they would have been 8-man.
Right.
But listen, a 7-on-7 flag football could be fantastic. I mean,
be a lot of fun. You may get people who do that who don't normally play football.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're excited about that.
That's to be determined.
Right. And we also are going to offer fall cheering. Fall cheering is a sport that is designed to, their performance is their competition, their big event is generally at football games, which we're not going to have. But that doesn't mean they can't get together and work on their skills, work on their conditioning and those types of things. So we'll offer that also.
Excellent. All right. And then soccer, even if there were going to be games, there weren't going to be a state title. There aren't going to be gold ball games this year.
No, soccer is listed by the CDC as a moderate risk activity, as is volleyball. So soccer is only basically inter-region scrimmages with no tournament.
Okay. Fingers crossed, everything goes well. What about middle school? You wanted to touch on that.
Okay, and also don't let me forget about drama.
Go. Let's do the drama first.
Okay, so normally we do a fall musical, which is a giant production with dozens and dozens of performers and tech crew and singing and dancing on a small stage. Well, not a small stage, but certainly closer to one another than we would want to be singing and dancing these days. So the drama group has started to put a plan together to do a virtual performance where they do a production, 2 or 3 actors at a time. They have a tech crew and they film it, and then we're going to produce that as a video and then make that public.
Well, and as we said, Bunky and I talked about, you've got an Emmy-winning producer there with Jeff Zaman. So this is going to be obviously a world-class video.
We're looking forward to it. You know, it's nice to have a chance to do something like that. Of course, last spring they lost their 2 spring plays. The students who usually do that, and as things really unraveled in the middle of March last year, one thing that I want to remember is our one act was a day or 2 away from going and competing for a state championship. And didn't get to do that last year, and so it'd be nice to get them back out doing their thing also.
Okay. All right. So now middle school athletics.
So middle school offers cross country, golf, and soccer. All the schools don't offer golf, but several of them do. So they are hoping to do a similar thing where golf will be something that they go ahead and play. Cross country, they're going to work on, they have to modify in some ways. Obviously, there are modifications for high school and middle school cross country. You can't have a gigantic mass start that looks like the running of the Bulls.
Right.
Right. You can't do that. So there are numbers that are going to need to be modified. There are protocols that are going to need to be modified. One thing that has been a practice at the middle schools, at most of the middle schools, the students could do multiple sports in the fall, and they aren't going to be able to do that this year. They'll have to pick one. And
that's all because trying to keep those cohorts together and
trying to keep the cohorts together and to try to keep the massive amounts of people down. Middle school cross country meets are enormous under a normal year.
Right.
Lots and lots of people, even outdoors. That's a lot of people in a relatively small area in some places. So they're hoping to do that. In soccer, they're going to do the same thing. They're hoping to do the same thing as we are at the high school, do some practicing and skill development and team building. And then there's a possibility that any of the competitions at the middle school will be within our district.
Well, but there are enough schools within the district to be able to, if able to play, to be able to get a decent schedule.
Yes. So that's almost typically usually they'll have a few games against Blue Hill each year, and we kind of, Hancock and Lemoyne they're their own district, and we also often they participate right as if they're a member of our district. They come to our future Trojan nights and those types of things. Right. I think they may have decided that they weren't doing any athletics as of now, but so that's not a thing we have to consider whether we're able to compete against them, because I don't think they made the decision to do that this year.
Okay. As things gear up to hopefully a return to school after September 25th, you're looking for staff.
We are. One of the things that we're trying to do is we have several teachers who are going to teach in a remote-only environment. They're going to be teaching from home, and they have really great skills in that area. And what we need is we need an adult to be in the physical classroom while those students are home. While those teachers are home. That's starting pretty soon. So we've gotten a few leads on that, but we really need a few people to come in and do that. And that would be a long-term sub. And so that our sub rate is $100 a day. And then once you get beyond 2 weeks, then you start making somewhere around $18 an hour, between $17.50 and $18 an hour.
That's decent pay.
It is. We're also looking for a custodian. One of our custodians switched to being an ed tech, so we're looking for one of those. And obviously, we as we try to, it's not an option this year if a custodian is out to just skip cleaning a room for a night. We really need to have a full staff. So we're still looking for one of those, and we're looking for a couple of ed techs to work with our special ed students. So again, those jobs pay in the neighborhood of 17 to 19 or $20 an hour. And those two have full benefits.
Oh, amazing opportunities. And
Yeah,
I mean,
so if people are looking to go into that, can certainly contact me. And they also their application materials and everything are on the MDI RSS, the district website, mdirss.org, and there's an employment tab on there that you can see.
yeah, we'll link that there. Food pickup for those people that are looking for food is on Wednesdays, and that information is on the website as well.
It is, and we're also going to continue to send messages directly home. It's in our Chalk Talk. That it's our weekly Chalk Talks, our weekly newsletters, and we're also going to send information directly in a message to families, just so people know that those options are there for food pickup. And then obviously that scenario will change when some of the students are back in the building in our hybrid model in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, still looking at the return to school right after September 25th. Is that the plan, or
that's still the hope?
Yeah.
And conditions haven't changed to the point, so we're doing that. I mean, the school board last night at their meeting changed, or not changed, but they set a meeting for September 21st to officially make the decision about when we do come back. That was kind of the plan back in August. They said we'll reassess on September 21st, and so that's the plan. We're really hopeful. The building's coming together really well. We are getting our materials in. Teachers are doing well. We've got ventilation scenarios worked out, so I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, and I guess that's one of the things is that as the weather changes and everything's still in flux. I mean, where there are opportunities for outdoor classes and things of that sort, as it gets cooler and those opportunities decrease.
Yes. I mean, until it gets really nasty, you can still get outside quite a bit. But it does get really nasty come,
right,
depending on the year, November,
yeah.
December. So yeah, and so that really is like our flexibility gets less and less when we have to be inside all the time.
Okay.
The other piece that we're really trying to work out, and it is a massive logistical piece, is the transportation. We have students coming from the 4 towns on the island, the 3 outer islands, Trenton, and then we also have students from Hancock and Lemoyne that are bused here in different ways. So that's always complicated. And now when we're adding a morning and an afternoon session that alternates on different days,
Oh, yeah.
It's quite the jigsaw puzzle that we're still putting together. Luckily, we have another few weeks or so to get that done.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of moving parts. One of the things we just want to stress is that if parents have concerns, if students have concerns, to reach out directly to the school.
Yes, please, because we often will have answers to questions or concerns, or if we don't, there is a very real possibility that we haven't thought about that thing. There are a lot of new things coming at us, and something that may seem very obvious may not have popped into the front of our brains yet. So please, if someone has a question, concern, complaint, feedback, however that may be, we much would prefer to hear it, because it will either help you or help us, basically, one way or the other.
You've got a secret weapon, though, because your son is a freshman, so you're experiencing everything, not only as an administrator, but also as a parent.
Yeah, I try not to interrogate him too much about what's going on, but he'll tell me.
That's why your wife is there, so that way she can find out how his day was and then explain it to you.
Yes, but he has enjoyed the first week of school very much. He was anxious about getting back at it, and now that it's happened, he's really liking it. And he really likes his classes, and he really likes his teachers, and that's the most important thing, is that relationship between a student and a teacher.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything we missed today?
I don't think so. It's It's a sunny Friday, and that's always a beautiful thing. And I always enjoy talking to you.
All right. Thanks very much. We'll talk again hopefully next week as we gear up to hopefully return to school. And everybody we want to I guess the most important thing is stay socially distant when you're out in the community, wear your masks, wash your hands, and that way we can continue to have excellent numbers and hopefully a return to whatever the new normal is, or get us all back together soon.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chris.